The Global Briefing on SAfm.
We look across the world, some of the big stories, and we're joined on the line by Dr. Joan Swart, a researcher in military science at the University of Stellenbosch. Good morning, Dr. Swart.
Good morning. How are you this morning?
I am well, just looking forward to having some coffee. We're not there yet, but all is well. A couple of stories that we need to look at. It seems as if this old territorial dispute between Japan and Russia continues. What is the context here for those who do not know about this dispute and what is happening right now?
Yeah, it's interesting. So, these four southern islands, they actually do directly to the north of Japan and to the east of the Russian coast. So they are both claimed by Russia and Japan. And although it's Putin's first visit to these islands, Dmitry Medvedev visited there as when he was president in 2010. So since the final stages of World War II, Russia actually controls these islands de facto and administratively. So all four are administered as part of an oblast, which is a province of the Russian Federation. So they've got a total population of about 20,000, so very small actually. Overwhelming Russian Soviet settlers in origin, so they settled there during the World War, when actually the Japanese population at that time was expelled. So that's a little bit of a history of these islands. His visit, I think, is clearly political signaling. Their relations between Russia and Japan deteriorated sharply after Japan joined the sanctions against Russia. So that's a bit of a history of the situation there.
All right, understood. And then moving across to Italy, it seems as if Giorgia Meloni is facing a tough one with young Italians. Her support, less than 30% rather of young people supporting her, this ahead of next year's elections in the country.
Yeah, there's, of course, the issue is much broader. So younger voters, I think, and we see this worldwide, they are increasingly asking whether governments actually serve the people who elect them. So when people face rising living costs, declining economic mobility, insecure employment, and the rest, they start to have a sense that political leaders are more responsive to their own interests or to international agendas than really their problems or the problems of ordinary citizens. So therefore, political trust are very low actually across the world. So it's less about a divide between left and right than I think whether people believe their governments are actually working for them. And the same thing are happening in the United States and I think in South Africa as well. We're seeing the same thing, that political stability that is based on economic insecurity sort of spills over into that space.
Most definitely. And then we wrap up with this story yesterday, marking what would have been the 100th birthday of Cuban leader and revolutionary Fidel Alejandro Castro.
Yes. So he's, of course, the big revolutionary leader there, and he remains very central to Cuba's political identity. While, as we know, Cuba is experiencing very deep economic and energy crisis, the biggest in decades, I think, which follows, of course. It's easy to say his economic system does not work, but did it really have a chance to work after more than 6 decades of US sanctions and embargoes?
On that, Dr. Swart,
Yes.
I remember during the Obama presidency, I mean, he was one of the only U.S. presidents to visit Havana, and one would have expected that there would have been an easing of those sanctions. But I suppose with the arrival of Donald Trump, there was a reversal of what could have been on the back of that historic visit by Obama.
Yes, I think so too. I also think that Obama never really followed through, to be honest. And then, of course, Trump came and reversed it, and Biden sort of followed along with Trump 1.0. And now it's in overdrive, actually. So, the objective initially was to impose economic cost and to constrain Cuba. And it's done that. But their objective was also regime change, and that has failed. So today, I'm really questioning what their objectives are. In fact, they are driving Cuba more closer to China, for instance, and Russia, because they've been helping economically now as well with the energy situation and so on.
Yeah, most definitely. But the spirit of Fidel Castro definitely does continue. Thank you very much, Dr. Joan Swart, researcher in military science at the University of Stellenbosch.